that is now set for Modi diplomacy. This is Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who has arrived in Italy for the G7 summit. The Prime Minister, sharing pictures on social media handle X, says that he is eager to engage in productive interaction. While Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who is now in Italy to attend the 58th G7 summit, this marks the Prime Minister's first international trip since assuming office for the third term. He's accompanied with a high-level delegation, underscoring the importance of the summit for India's diplomatic economic engagements on the global stage. During the G7 summit, Prime Minister Modi will also be participating in an outreach session focusing on critical issues such as artificial intelligence, energy, and over Africa. So pictures that are now coming in of the Prime Minister, who has just landed in Italy. And of course, it will be an important day as far as several bilaterals that are now lined up with the world leaders. And this time, the first trip, the Prime Minister said that he's glad that his first foreign visit in his third consecutive term as Prime Minister was to Italy for the G7 summit. Remember, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, India is an invited guest this time to attend this meeting. Of course, the G7 leaders who have already arrived there and were greeted by the Prime Minister of Italy. But this is the outreach session and discussion on various issues with world leaders that today will be taking place. The Pope is also expected to meet Prime Minister Modi. Let me go across now to Shivani. Shivani, good morning. Prime Minister Narendra Modi just landing there in Italy. We're getting his pictures. Of course, we're looking at a busy day that is now lined up ahead of him.
Amita, this is the visit where Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be participating in a summit session entitled Artificial Intelligence, Energy, Africa, Mediterranean, to be hosted by Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni and joined by Pope Francis, as you were also mentioning. And the Pope is also expected to hold bilateral talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and he has a series of meetings scheduled with the world leaders today on the sidelines of the summit being held at the luxury resort Borgo Ignazia. And we know, we see the pictures, and Prime Minister has already landed there, and Randhir Jaiswal, who's the spokesperson of the MEA, he has said that it would be a packed day by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, where he'll be holding several meetings, and he will be talking to the world leaders. This is an outreach session of the G summit here, which is being held, and where Prime Minister Narendra Modi is representing.
All right. As the pictures that are now arriving, we are looking at the Prime Minister's packed program as far as there will be a session on artificial intelligence, energy, Africa, Mediterranean that is going to be hosted by the Italian Prime Minister, and exactly also being expected to be attended by the Pope. Prime Minister Modi himself has several meetings lined up with other world leaders as well at the Borgo Ignazia Resort. Let's also talk about how India now is expected to play a significant role when it comes to the G7 summit, this time with a strong focus on security issues. This marks India's 11th participation in the summit and Prime Minister Narendra Modi's 5th consecutive attendance. Now, the G7 summit that is taking place during a critical period amidst the ongoing conflicts in Ukraine and Gaza, as well as the significant political events in the G7 countries. Listen in to the former Italian Sherpa for G8 and G20 ambassador for more insights.
As far as for India, well, India is a prominent country. It's among the most important countries of the world. It's a huge democracy, so everybody counts on India as a stabilizing factor. You have an important position in the global south. You are pledging towards a multipolar world. You don't want to substitute other orders, India-centric orders, to other orders in international community. You want countries to cooperate together, and we think that this is the right approach, and we highly value what you are doing on the international scene.
Meanwhile, in a statement, Prime Minister Modi has highlighted the outreach session that will delve into issues of critical importance for the Global South. Adding further, he said the discussions will focus on critical issues for the Global South, ensuring the voices and concerns of these regions that are heard on global stage. This alignment between G20 and G7 summits aim to foster collaborative solutions and also enhance the impact of international efforts. Now, during his visit to Italy for the G7 summit, Prime Minister Modi's prime agenda that includes a significant meeting with Pope Francis that is also being confirmed by Vatican. And this rare meeting with the Pope is also set to take place on the sidelines of the summit and Italy's resort. However, what we are getting to know as Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on his first trip overseas after commencing his third term. He is attending the G7 summit as a special invitee and will be discussing global South concerns with the bilateral cooperation with the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. Now, the summit itself that comes at a critical time amidst the ongoing wars and conflict in Ukraine and Gaza and significant political events in the G7 countries themselves, with leaders like US President Joe Biden, France's Emmanuel Macron, Britain's Rishi Sunak, and now also facing elections very soon, and India, who assumes a significant role as issues related to security take center stage. This is India's 11th participation in the G7 summit and Prime Minister's 5th consecutive participation. However, the opposition here in India sought to settle political scores once again, targeting Prime Minister Modi as he arrives in Italy. Congress's Jairam Ramesh has mocked the Prime Minister, saying that he's gone to salvage his diminishing international image, while others called it self-promotion.
जो उन्होंने कहा है